just trying out a new product. It's for people who are afraid to face reality. We're doing a very brisk business.
So I would like to talk a little bit more about what I mean, sorry, with the medical model. When we talk about mental health in Western countries, as the USA, Europe, and the UK that I know of, mental health, mental disorders are placed in a medical model, or also called the biomedical model, which means that we talk about patients that need treatment, that are ill, that need medication. And it's my opinion that that's one of the problems of the crisis in mental health, and helping people who are experiencing mental health problems or distress. So the medical model, like I said, it says it in the word, is the view of mental distress that we can experience. And I would actually argue everybody experiences mental distress in one form or scale or another. Everybody experiences mental distress. It's normal to experience mental distress, and yet sometimes it can be too much to deal on our own with our distress. And when people with mental distress then go to a doctor or a psychiatrist, they walk into the medical model where the mental distress is categorized and viewed as a disease, something abnormal that needs to be treated to go back to normal. And in my opinion, that's where the problem starts. On many levels. First of all, that looking at somebody as having an illness when they are mentally distressed is taking away a lot from that person, which sometimes might be perceived as good, like, it's not my problem, I've got depression, something like that. But actually, it takes away much more of ownership and meaning making. Because I believe that a lot of mental distress is as a result of us trying to make meaning of our world from a young age, and sometimes we can't. Doesn't make sense. We don't know how. It's a creation of the mind to make meaning, and therefore it's part of us. And to make that an illness that needs to be treated, it means that we're alienating from a part of ourselves. So that's one aspect of the medical model why I don't like it, and why I think that's a problem for our approach to mental health. And on another level, which is a bit more complicated for me to communicate, but I would like to refer to Ian McGilchrist, I don't know how to pronounce that name, who talks about the left and right hemisphere, and how the left hemisphere is poisoning us. And very, very simply put, is that the left hemisphere is about concluding. It's about making boxes, a conclusion, facts, this is it. And that's what the medical model does with with a virus. We isolate it. This is the problem, and we can eliminate it. It's very clear. It's very black and white. There's right and wrong. It's an illness, and then you're better. And I will put a link below for some video clips where you can listen to him. I tried reading the books. I've got the books here. There are two of them, and they're really complicated. So I found it easier to listen to the video clips, and I'm sure I'll miss out a lot of what he meant. But the little nuggets I get out of there, I instinctively feel he's right, is that we are so obsessed with making things in boxes We are so obsessed with fixing things, with concluding. And I think that's what we're doing in mental health and the approach to our mental distress, that we are conclude, we put in diagnosis, we make it black and white, better or getting better or you're ill. While actually, I think that the treatment of mental illness or mental distress is within the right hemisphere of the brain, which is much more fluid and gray area where creativity can come in, spirituality can come in. If we approach mental distress from that way, the meaning making is a process in our life. We don't want to necessarily come to conclusions. We don't necessarily want to be better or of because of a depression. It's the depression is here and then I'm better and it's gone. Because it doesn't work that way. When there is depression, or we can have those feelings, and there are thoughts that we are create to make sense of our life and our feelings, it's part of us. And it's not necessarily bad to experience distress. It can get and lead us to healing and finding strength in ourselves, and being able to help others because of it. There's something really beautiful and precious about the vulnerability of distress or mental distress. And don't get me wrong, it's painful and it's difficult. And I do recognize that there are people who are experiencing severe mental distress, who are really in turmoil. But I still believe that the approach and to really help people within mental distress needs to come from a creative, spiritual, non-concluding approach, talking, making sense of what's happening. So that's a short explanation about the medical model. I will try to do another video clip a bit more about the about Ian McGilchrist, his philosophy, and what he thinks is happening with our left and right brain hemisphere, and how we are obsessed and poisoned by black and white duality thinking. And I believe that how that is creating even more mental distress for people in its own, and also how it creates the crisis in our approach to helping people who are in mental distress. So I hope this makes sense. See you soon.